Welcome to Denny's. Today we're going to be taking a look at a build that I'm going to be using for Jayber after his recent, I guess you could say mini rework or buff, so they say. More specifically, it's going to be going over a mobbing build with Jayber. You can take this into bosses as well. This is more going to specify the mobbing section of Jayber. But yeah, don't forget to like the video if it helped you out. Comment any feedback you got for me. And then subscribe if you feel that I have earned it. And follow me over on Twitch. We're live 5 days a week. We did all the Jayber building over live on Twitch. I am going to be going on vacation, so fair warning, I won't be able to be on Twitch for about 10 days, but I'll be back right on the 1st of February and right in time for the update to come with the increased void erosion levels. But let's jump into the video. All right, and to kick it off with the modules for this specific build, we are going to talk about the Transcendent mod. So the Transcendent mod here is going to make it so that Jayber basically gets a second attack turret. It's going to change his medical turret to completely be an attack turret. Honestly, the medical turret just taunts anyway, so this is quite nice for an aggressive playstyle. Now, what we're going to be doing is playing off of major cooldown, again, as well as much damage as we can get, and making sure that our turrets also do not die immediately, because being really squishy is a very big problem for the turrets, so we need to make sure that we juice them up with a little bit of HP. So, for this, we will be running increased HP in Battle of Stamina. Battle of Stamina is giving us 8.8% skill duration. It equates to around 1 second of time with the extra duration and range that you get on the turret, where it does a little bit more damage. So I like that. However, if you don't really care for that extra 1 second, you can run something like HP amplification. This will basically give us double the HP the Battle of Stamina is giving us, and it'll give us a giant chunk of survivability on Jayber and on his turrets. So that is something to be said there. And then as far as the focus on dimension, focus on mods, we're only using focus on dimension. We're using power increase mainly because the cooldown that you get, the 6% cooldown that you get, while it is nice to have, you don't actually need it that much. And to get the extra little bit of damage, in my opinion, is a little bit more important on Jayber, for the reason that basically you just need to get as much damage as you can out of him to make him usable. So the power increase is why we're doing that. We're dipping into a totally different bucket with skill power because we are not using the Slayer set with this specific build, and we are getting that 65% skill power. We're also using both amplification mods, dimension and non-attribute. That way we can get the extra damage there. Now, it is very important to have maximize the range on Jayber's turret zone. Whenever you have your enhanced turret, you get 200% max expandable range. So the only way to max that range out is just by using one range mod. We don't want to use two. It'll be extreme overkill. Just get that skill expansion slot filled up. And then skill extension is going to make it so that we have a longer time with our turret zone. So instead of 10 seconds, it goes all the way up to 16 seconds whenever we are activating our basically, you can either shoot the gun at the turrets or use your fourth ability, and then after using your fourth ability, make sure that you drop the turrets to get their turret zones. Usually you're replacing the turrets, so the better way to do it is just to keep replacing the turrets while you have your reactivate buff, the overhaul buff on from your fourth ability. And then Nimble Fingers and MP conversion, obviously, to work on the cooldown as well. Nothing new here. This is kind of typical as far as cooldown damage builds go, just the skill extension and duration that we're really getting from stamina, expansion, and extension. So yeah, that is the modules. I do want to explain how everything works, but we're going to go into the reactor, components, weapon, and inversion first. Let's jump over to those. All right, so for the reactor, we're going to be using a materialized phase reactor. This is going to be a non-attribute and dimension boosted reactor. We are going to want to make sure that we have our hand cannon mounted on here. We'll get into the weapon Peacemaker in a second, but we also want to make sure that we have our cooldown and duration roll. Now, this is really up to the user. I like to have as much cooldown and duration on my Jayber as I can get. However, if you want to maximize your damage, non-attribute and dimension is a good way to go. Obviously, Jayber needs as much damage as he can get. He's doing a lot of instances of damage, so if you keep stacking your damage, you are going to end up doing more and more and more, depending on what you're doing. I like this just because it gives me the ability to just spam my turrets everywhere I go. With the recent changes where you kind of can just move your turrets and put them wherever you want without having to cancel them. This is quite nice to have that cooldown. And obviously the duration makes that turret zone is up even longer. 10% duration equates to around 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds of that turret zone, that increased damage turret zone being active on Jayber. So that is why I'm going to run that on there. And then let's jump over to the components. So the components, for once, we are not using Slayer. However, you could if you wanted to. Honestly, it's not a big deal. I just like to be super tanky on Jayber. I really don't want my turrets to die, and I really don't want to die myself because then it would feel really bad. Obviously, Jayber is not the quickest Descendant in the game. He's just something where you can go and change it up. So we are using 2-piece Hunter and 2-piece Annihilation. This gives us a little bit of tankiness, but it also gives us 4% cooldown and 6% duration. So the main reason that we're really doing this is for tankiness. The added cooldown and duration is quite nice. For all the roles, it's going to be everything we always go for on MP Descendants. The sensor, or excuse me, the aux power is going to be max HP, MP recovery out of combat. The sensor is going to be MP max, and then MP recovery in combat. The memory is going to be a shield, excuse me, defense, and then it's going to be MP recovery. And then the processor, totally up to you, equipment, drop rate increase, and shield is what I go for. Doesn't really matter though, to be honest with you. The shield is nice, but it doesn't really improve our survivability a whole lot on Jayber. Now, jumping into the weapon, I do want to go over it really quickly. So the main thing, obviously, is Peacemaker with its unique ability. You're going to be able to get a nice little 50% non-attribute skill power boost. This is going to give us a decent chunk of damage. Obviously, all of Jayber's abilities are not huge as far as damage. The continuous damage, it would actually be better in some cases to run Modifier. But the skill power you get from this is still very nice. And you do get a nice 5 stacks of it. It lasts a very long time. And you're spamming your turret everywhere you go. So honestly, the dimension ability that procs this Peacemaker is going to always be working in your favor. You're always going to have that 5 stack up of 50%. So 10%, sorry, 5 stack of 10%, so 50% total. And then for the mods, I don't have Peacemaker built. However, fire rate does affect your pistol on Jayber. And then having an increased magazine also does. Guys, we do not really use the pistol a whole lot with this build. I really wish that you did. It is a singular damage type. Unfortunately, the pistol, it's just not really worth using unless you plan on camping in an area for a long time. This is going to be for a very mobile Jayber where you're running around replacing your turrets and kind of moving and keeping on the go. It's not really meant for the Jayber where you are shooting. Unfortunately, I tried a singular pistol build with Jayber. I didn't have any luck with it. I didn't get a whole lot of time to test with it, so I wouldn't be shocked if somebody did come out with one, but this is what I've got right now for Peacemaker. Let's jump over to the Inversion Reinforcement. All right, so the Inversion Reinforcement, it's very similar to a lot of different ones we've done. The only difference that we're going to see this time is I am not using Neuro Concentration Reinforcement. Instead, I am using Adrenaline Rush. Now, with Adrenaline Rush, or with Jayber, he is very slow, so any extra movement speed you can get is very nice on Jayber. I just like Adrenaline Rush. You can use RK Boost, you can use Neuro Concentration Reinforcement, you can use whatever you want to use. I just use that Adrenaline Rush there at the bottom left column there. Just kind of what I like to use. Obviously, we've got everything decked out as far as the 4 rows. And then Abyss Enhancement for the grappling cooldown as well as a little bit of damage reduction. And then the Heightened Sensory Cells. Heightened Sensory Cells just to give us MP whenever we need it. Typically, we're pretty good, but Heightened Sensory Cells help us whenever we have any issues. Just in the case that we end up having any. But again, usually we're pretty good. That is going to wrap it up for the Inversion Reinforcement. And it's also pretty much going to wrap it up for the video, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you like Jayber? I know that a lot of people are going to say he's still pretty bad. Guys, if you compare him to everybody else in the game, yes, he is not the best, but he is absolutely usable. You can get content done. You can kill bosses. Not as fast as others, but you can get it done. And he's quite interesting to play. He has a very unique playstyle, especially with this one where you're kind of being active with your turrets. It's quite fun, in my opinion. However, I know a lot of people won't do it. So I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Like the video if it helped you out, and then subscribe if you feel that I've earned it. Also, I'm going to be live 5 days a week on Twitch, going on vacation obviously for these next little bit. However, I'll be live on February 1st. I would love to see you guys over there on Twitch. And yeah, man, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night. I hope you guys are enjoying the update. I'm out of here, guys. Peace out. Goodbye.